it's working. It's working. Hell yeah, that was a hassle. Alrighty. I hope everyone finds this one. Hi! Ooh, someone found it. This, I don't know what happened, but this weird live Q&A feature made my entire Mac freeze. Like, I tried to even restart a live stream and stuff, and it just went black and nothing worked. Ah, that was stressful. I am, yeah. I guess I will not use this feature anymore because it doesn't seem to be working. Uh, Lessons learned. But at least I think my tea is now ready to drink. Oh, yeah, very summery. Mm. So thank you for waiting and sorry for the hassle. That was quite annoying and quite stressful. But it worked. So yeah, of course, I now don't have the old chat anymore from the other live, so that sucks. So if you had a question in the chat or something that was important, then feel free to ask it again in this chat so that I know of it. Oh gods. Ah, I have a love-hate relationship with tech. Yeah. Me too, and I work in tech. So, but I work in it, but I'm not good with it. So that's my thing. So yeah, what I actually wanted to ask in the live Q&A is what you all did for the new moon, or if you did something, because of course you don't have to, but in case someone did something fun for the new moon on Saturday/Sunday, depending on where you live, then feel free to put it in the chat. Or if you just have random questions, we can also just do a random Q&A session. I am open to everything. I don't have a set plan on what I want to do on this live. I just wanted to try it out and failed miserably. ah, Now people will just see like the two ended lives and will be like, what the hell happened here? Self care, eating extra healthy, went for a hike, planting in my garden. That's how I spent my new moon. That sounds amazing, especially the self care. Eating extra healthy, I wish. I really have to get back to at least semi healthy eating patterns because I don't cook. So, I mean, my breakfast at least is usually pretty healthy, but apart from that, it's usually like pizza or something like that. Something unhealthy with far too much cheese. And planting in your garden. I am jealous. I would love to have a garden. It's actually the first year now that I haven't tried planting anything on my balcony because usually I try planting everything and it grows pretty well inside. And then I put it outside on the balcony because I just can't keep everything inside. And then pests come, a lot of them. And of course, if I have herbs that I want to work with, I don't want to use chemicals on them. So I always try to use something natural or like, for example, I even once bought ladybugs because they eat what are they called? I don't know what they're called in English, but they eat like this very specific type of pests. But yeah, all of my herbs usually die from pests because apparently my balcony doesn't want herbs growing on them. But I have a little oak tree that is growing happily, and I think it's now the third year in a row, and it's still growing. So I guess I will just plant a lot of trees on my balcony because if they get pests and they lose all their leaves, it's not that big of a deal. Um, I don't do anything regularly for the various moons, but on Saturday I just enjoyed some time on my balcony with my little garden. So much garden time. That's awesome. I did not, but I'm feeling like starting to work out for the first time in my life, so perhaps that's it. I mean, that's great. I'm actually also just not an exercise person, so I am extremely happy that I found pole because I started pole dancing like 2 months ago or something, 6 weeks before I went to Iceland, and now I am obsessed. I am very friggin' bad at it because I just don't have any muscle, and you need a lot of muscle for pole, and I have like no abs at all, and you need a lot of abs. So, but we're getting there. In Alberta, it's always a battle for me to see how long I can get my zucchini to last before the powdery mildew inevitably wins that battle. Oh yeah, I had that a lot on my herbs. And it also really likes my little oak tree, my baby oak tree. So that usually gets mildew, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Mildew, I don't know. It gets that every single year and loses all its leaves. I don't know what it is, but it just loves my balcony. Um, Aphids. That's the pest that I was talking about? Maybe. Possible. I have a small garden with lots of herbs, veggies, a few berries, and edible flowers. Small backyard, but make the most of it. I love it. My slice of heaven. That sounds so good. Oh, that sounds so good. I'm so looking forward to hopefully owning a house at some point with a big garden and like chickens and maybe some goats or something. We really want a house with like a very, very big yard, and the house itself doesn't have to be big, but like everything around it has to be big. And I don't want any neighbors. So that will be interesting in Germany because it's Germany is so crowded. But then I can grow all of the food that I want. And the fun thing is that my fiance is also excited about that and wants a big garden and a lot of animals. So that's amazing. I'm very, very, very excited for chickens. What I just found when I was on a walk before I went live, I went on a short walk and I have like quite some hazelnuts bushes growing around me, but I never saw any actual nuts on them. And I found a hazelnut bush that actually has nuts. So I don't know when they are ripe, but at some point I will be able to eat hazelnuts from the bushes around my area. And it's luckily not right at a busy road, so that's good because otherwise I wouldn't eat it. Oh, I used to keep chickens. Highly recommend. I miss mine. Oh, why don't you anymore? Because I always wonder like if I got chickens, I would probably do it until the end of my life. Also, I'm just now diving into learning Sybil's cards. Oh, yeah, the Lenormand cards. At least I know them under both names. I don't know where the difference is, honestly. Um, I actually have you ever tried the Sybil's ones? Um, I always thought they were the same, to be honest, because I have a book that has the name on it, like the Sybil's, if that's what it's pronounced as. I have a book with that name on it, and it's on Lenormand, so I always assumed that that's just a different name for the same card decks. I don't know. If you know the difference, then feel free to tell me because I have no clue, actually. Wow, a hazel tree with nuts, so cool. I'm also looking for that around here because my ogam is hazel. Ooh, that's cool. I actually don't know. I knew once, but I don't remember what. Wait. Uh, I will quickly look up what my tree is. Wait. It seems to be, oh no, it's a little bit. The image is too tiny and my eyes are too bad. Wait. November, October, September, August. Oh yeah, right, it was holly. I remember. It's Holly, which is funny because I have no connection to Holly at all. Like nothing, nothing. Would have wished that it was oak because I think oak trees are my favorite trees in the world. I second the chickens. They are wonderful. They all turned turned into pets. Yeah, I bet. The one of the two Airbnbs where we stayed in Iceland, they had chickens, and the chickens were right in front of our bedroom window, and they were so cute. And there was this one chicken that was actually like kind of white, like white beige, but it had like a little hat of black feathers, and it was so cute. It was so cute. They have some cards in common, but a different aesthetic and images, and half the cards have a different name. That's interesting. I will have to look through that book because now I'm intrigued. Back for round two. Not sure if you saw my last comment, but thank you for your alpha meditation video. Made a new sub. Loving your content. Oh, that's awesome. It's funny that how many people actually watch that meditation, especially over and over. It's funny because I can see in the analytics whether it's returning viewers or new viewers watching the videos. And so many people watch this meditation over and over and over. Like it's one of my most viewed videos, which is kind of crazy. But I love that. I actually thought about starting to maybe put some of my meditations on my shop because I used to make meditations for Patreon, but I'm currently not doing anything on Patreon because I'm just like once I start doing like a tad bit more than I'm doing right now, I get majorly burnt out. So I'm not really doing anything on Patreon right now apart from like book club and stuff like that. And like chilling out with everyone. So I thought like I have all of these meditations now, so I could probably put them up somewhere. I don't know. We will see. Hey, where in Germany do you live? Roughly, I live in Göttingen, but originally came from the Danish border. You are too from the Danish border. Where from the Danish border? If you're from Flensburg, that would be funny because I'm from Flensburg. And usually, if someone says they're from the Danish border, they mean that they're from Flensburg. So that would be funny. And I'm currently actually living in Hamburg, so I didn't come far from Flensburg. I just googled my Celtic sign and I got Hawthorne. I always wonder. Wait, I have to see what that's in German. Whip. Oh, okay. I don't know if I have ever seen a hawthorn tree ever. Probably. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember those leaves. I remember those leaves and I remember those flowers. But yeah, same. Never had a connection to that tree, and I usually have a lot of feelings for a lot of trees. Yeah, thank you for your videos. They are amazing. It made me want to be back in practice. Oh, that's amazing. That makes me very, very happy because that's honestly like that's the point of my channel. Like even when I started out, the point of my channel was to help people in their practice, and it doesn't matter if that's with info on stuff or just entertainment or motivation or making them feel better when they're spiritually burnt out or whatever reason. But um, I just hope I just hope that my content is helping people. Is helping people. I was born in Flensburg. Oh, that is so funny. We're from the same little city, and it's not that big, so that is pretty funny. I rarely ever meet people who are from Flensburg, even if I live just like an hour and a half by car from there now. So it's usually like the city I live in. It's usually one of two cities where people move after they're done with school. In my city, they usually either move to Hamburg or Berlin, and yeah. But I still rarely ever meet people from there. Burnout is freaking real. Keep your peace. It's the most important thing. Yes, it is. It is so real, and it's a little bit scary to be honest. Because, for example, the 2 weeks in Iceland were like my longest vacation I've had in I don't know 5 years or something. Probably since I started working because I just never took like 2 weeks off in a row. Um, and even if I just take a week off, usually I do at least like 4 days of work, like 2 YouTube days and 2 shop days. So I usually only have like a few days off whenever I take a week off my normal work. So having 2 weeks off and in Iceland was like so majorly relaxing. And I came back and I was like, I was so relaxed and I was so motivated. I had so much energy. I slept a lot. It was amazing. And it literally took me like 1 week and I was completely back to where I was before, which is pretty burned out and tired all the fucking time. That's just my usual state of being stressed. So, yeah, everyone, take care of yourself and take a lot of breaks. The thing I've realized I really have to do is just break my day into like smaller pieces of work. Like I just can't work like 8 hours with only like half an hour of a lunch break and do that. I have to like break it into like 2 hours, have a little break, another 2 hours, have lunch break, go for a walk, work, because otherwise I can't. Uh, I love seeing chickens around. If you ever end up on a trip to the States, there is an area called, I have no clue how that is pronounced. Somewhere in Tampa, Florida, that is known for having free roaming chickens and roosters. Super cool. Oh, I bet that's so cute. Although I've been bitten by a chicken as a child, so I have a lot of respect for chickens, but still, they're so cute. Will you have more guests on your channel? Yes, I will definitely. I will actually post new posts for new questions for a Ask a Death Witch soon. I don't know. Maybe I will do that later today. We will see. Maybe tomorrow, someday. But I already have a new guest planned, a very, very exciting guest, which I'm extremely excited about. And I am actually thinking about asking a vulva. We will see how that goes. I don't know, but I will have many, many more guests. Like, I feel like I was so terrified of interviewing people because of, yeah, I have social anxiety. So I'm terrified of humans in general, but like interviewing people, if you have social anxiety and in a language that's not your first language, that's just terrifying. But I feel like it was very good that I started with Ivy because, oh, Ivy is here. Hey, Ivy. I feel like it's so good that I started with Ivy because we were friends beforehand, so it wasn't that terrifying. And then with Albert, I met him actually in Iceland already, and we chatted for like 2 hours straight. So that was also less terrifying. So I feel like I'm prepared to interview people that I don't know personally now, finally. But yeah, social anxiety is fun. But yeah, you can get prepared for many, many more guests. And if you have like, although I will take suggestions for topics, but not suggestions for people because I feel like it's fun having the person be like a surprise. I feel like that's cool. Will you do more vlogs? I often rewatch them. Yeah, I'm actually working on an Iceland vlog right now, which just takes a lot of time to edit because I had like multiple hours of footage to go through, and I have to kind of figure out how to piece it together so that it makes sense. So an Iceland vlog that will be probably maybe next week's video, maybe the one after that. We will see. And I will do more vlogs, but I can't constantly vlog. It's exhausting. Um, hey, just stopping by to say hi real quick before I head to class. Love your background today. Yeah, that's just my living room wall. So, and have fun during class. Although it's probably not that fun. I mean, who has a lot of fun in class? But that is actually so cool. You don't by chance have anything to do with the Danish minority, do you? I don't, although I have like a lot of Danish ancestors. I mean, my entire name, both of my like my first name and my last name are Danish, and I'm like I'm probably like 50% Danish. My dad is fluent in Danish. A lot of people in my family married off to Denmark. But I myself, sadly, don't. I don't even speak Danish, but it is on my list of things to do to learn Danish. I mean, one, it would be awesome for my ancestor work to learn Danish. Two, I could I could just speak it so easily. Like I can just visit my parents and like talk to Danish people because in Flensburg is like full of Danish people, and I can just talk to my sister who also speaks Danish and my dad who speaks Danish. So it would be so easy to learn it probably, but time. I need more time. Um, what's your favorite herb? Mugwort. Definitely, like mugwort will probably always be my favorite. Although Angelica is slowly climbing the ladder, so that is also a great herb. And I was so happy because Angelica usually grows around here, but it doesn't really anymore because it gets so big and there's no space here for Angelica to grow. But then I went to Iceland and it was everywhere. They were slowly popping up all of the little Angelica plants, which was very cute to see all the baby Angelica. Oh, a vulva would be so cool, right? I would love to have a conversation about like people who just call themselves vulva without knowing what that even is. Your interview was so great. I'm so glad you're doing more. Yay! I'm so happy because oh yeah, as I said, I was terrified and I was very afraid of fucking it up. Are you publicly witchy in your town? Have you ever got comments by people you know from school or, for example? I'm not. Like, if I know someone personally, I will tell them, no problem. But I need to trust the person because, like, we don't have this problem here with like hyper religious people. Most people here are very not religious. But everyone is extremely like rational and practical thinking. So if you tell someone you're a witch, they will think you mean Harry Potter and they will laugh at you. And yeah, so most people just have no clue what that's about. Like, for example, in the US and in Canada, it's just much more known. Um, and over here it's just not. So I'm like open with my family and everyone that's closer to me, but like at work, for example, nope, nobody knows what I do, nobody knows about the YouTube channel, nobody knows about my shop, nothing. um and I guess that will stay that way. Like I have, whenever I have gotten a little bit closer to coworkers, then I've at some point told them because it just came up in conversation and that was fine. But I wouldn't feel comfortable just going up to my team of like 18 people and being like, "Oh, by the way, I'm a witch." Especially because one of them already like talked shit about like healing crystals. So, hmm. But actually, this far, I haven't gotten any weird comments. I mean, I've gotten a lot of like, "What the hell is that about?" Because people just don't know about it. But apart from that, everyone was pretty open. Hi, I just got here listening to your stream as I clean. Oh, that's great. Use me as your personal podcast. I incidentally came across a whole description about blackberry in the witch's cabinet after your video. So interesting. It's indeed a very edgy plant. Oh, it's in the witch's cabinet. That's interesting because the witch's cabinet is one of the books that I really want to read. I have it in my bookshelf, but I just haven't started reading it yet. It's on my list. And it was actually like we are currently selecting the new book for another round of our Patreon book club. And actually, I suggested the Witch's Cabinet. It won't make it won't make it to the top, but that is a good tip. I will probably then start reading the Witch's Cabinet soon, so that I can read about Blackberry. But I feel like it's pretty good that I started without having ever really read anything about Blackberry in witchy books. So now I am forming my own personal connection, which is pretty great. It's very lovely. That would be awesome to get a Vulva guest. My primary deity is Freya, and it can feel like stumbling in the dark to find Seidr sources, especially as a noob. Yes. Sources on Seidr, it's like, yeah, it's hard. It kind of feels like you're picking here and there, like some info that you can get from our primary sources, and kind of trying to piece it together, but it's just not enough info to like get a coherent whole. So yeah, I feel like everyone who wants to get into Sailor will just end up with a slightly different practice because we just don't know enough to properly reconstruct it. I thought that you maybe were a vulva because you are a Norse pagan and a witch, but I don't really know much about it. No, actually, a vulva is actually pretty similar to a shaman, which the word is ah, but like if it comes when it comes to like the role of the person in the community, then a vulva is pretty similar to that. So just because, for example, you work with the Norse gods and you believe in them and you work with, I don't know, land spirits and elves and trolls and maybe do witchcraft, that doesn't mean you're a vulva. That would mean you're just a like practitioner of Nordic kinds of magic. There are so many different words for practitioners of those paths, but a vulva has a very very specific role in the community, and usually they're either born a vulva or they're kind of initiated into it, or they are just like the community just tells you like you will be our vulva now because you're just gifted, and yeah, so that's why there aren't a lot of vulvas in the world, I guess. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely not a vulva. I don't feel like I would want all of the responsibility that a vulva has. Yeah, nah. I don't think that would work for me. Um, and I mean that doesn't mean that you can't like get into say the magic, for example. Totally fine. And you can call yourself, for example, a Seidr if you're like a male identifying person who practices Seidr, or you can call yourself a Seidr Kona if you're a female identifying person practicing Seidr. I don't remember, which is funny. I'm a non-binary person and I don't remember the non-binary term for someone who practices Seidr, but there is one. I just can't remember from off the top of my head. Um, I feel like this is such a weird question, but I love your wall. Did you do it yourself? And have you ever had a problem with insects or spiders? These are actually not real plants. So this is plastic. This is actually they are like tiles basically from IKEA, like 25 by 25 centimeters, little tiles that you can click together, and they just have these plastic leaves on them, and yeah, you can click them together and then put them up your wall. So my whole wall is fake plants. But I wouldn't want to have this with real plants because as soon as they have a problem or pests, like that would be a pain in the butt. Mm, by the way, how do you deal with balancing your mental health and your craft? I have ADHD and it can feel like pulling teeth when I want to focus on my practice. Yeah. Oh, I totally get it. Honestly, I totally get it because um I'm I don't have a diagnosis or anything, but I kind of feel like I may be neurodivergent. I don't know. So I'm definitely like I don't have a diagnosis or anything, but um I definitely struggle with a lot of ADHD things and autism things, but I would never go out and say like I have ADHD or I have autism because as I said, I don't have a diagnosis, but I can relate to a lot of the struggles because I have the same struggles. And honestly, I for mm, let's just say it like that. I used to try to hold myself to a very high standard, and I thought if I had a very strict daily practice, then it would be fine and I would feel better with it. But honestly, nowadays, I just try to roll with it. Like, if I don't feel like doing anything, I don't do anything, because what I have found for me is, if I have to force myself to do something daily, then it doesn't feel good. And if it doesn't feel good, then like there's no real energy behind it. Like, I just do it because I feel like I have to do it. And that just doesn't feel right. So I just try to roll with it. And if the motivation is there and the reason to practice is there, then I do. And if not, then no. Um, but that way it definitely feels more genuine. So maybe just don't hold yourself to that high standards. Like, just because some people have a very strict daily routine, that doesn't mean you have to. Will you interview more folk practitioners with different paths? Yes, definitely. Definitely. And I'm very excited about that, because I feel like there are so many people that have so many questions about different kinds of folk practices. So I am extremely excited about that. Can you talk about some of your tattoos? They all look so beautiful, and I'm currently starting my arms. Funnily enough, my first was a raven and blackberries because of their connotations of protection. That's funny because I also have blackberries tattooed. Um, uh, yeah, I mean, of course, I could talk about them, but I don't know what you want to know. So that if you have questions about them, then ask away. Mm, mm. Ooh. I just sucked in the tea bag while drinking. That was strange. Um, but yeah, I mean, I can show you a very, very ugly one, because it was my first one that I ever got just right after I turned 18, when a friend told me that he could tattoo, which no, he couldn't. This right here. Nobody knows what it is because it's just a blob. But luckily, it's now cornered in by so many other tattoos that nobody sees it anymore. So that's good. But my second tattoo was good. Like, my little ratty right here was my second tattoo. And I still love it so much. I love it, especially because I had so many rats as pets. I love them. They're so cute. I love your tattoos. How old were you when you got your first one? I'm 16 and trying to figure out what tattoos I want. Yeah, I just told you like that. That was my first one, and after that I didn't get any until I was like, I think 21, 22, something like that, because I just didn't have the money. But then I inherited a little bit of money, and then I just spent it all on tattoos, which I wouldn't recommend. But yeah. And now I have definitely slowed down a little bit, and I'm pretty happy about that, because I definitely got some tattoos that I wouldn't get anymore. Like this one, for example, it's kind of a love tattoo for the city I live in, because here it's Hamburg with the CH. Normally, Hamburg is written with a G, but because our dialect is strange, we usually say Hamburg. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit of a funny thing on my tattoo, but I definitely wouldn't get a tattoo like that anymore. I also have like Star Wars tattoos that I probably wouldn't get anymore, but well, that's how it goes. Mm. Oh, there's a little conversation going on. I can relate to that very much. I have ADHD as well, and it can be quite challenging. I figured that some sort of stimming involved in the craft or the action is helpful with with concentration. Oh yeah, actually, yeah. I found out that whenever I am moving during meditations, just a slight movement, it helps me. It helps me a lot, and I usually just like rock back and forth. It looks a little bit disturbing, probably, but who cares? It doesn't have to look good; it has to feel good, and it does. Hey, I like your look so much. May I ask how long have you had such short hair? I want to cut mine too soon. Oh, thank you. I am blushing. I have had a buzzed head since, oh God, it's like, I think 5.5 years or something. I shortly tried to grow it out again. So I shortly had like a tiny pixie, but then I cut it off pretty quickly again. I'm the same way. I have both autism and ADHD, and I've always struggled with that. I only have my money bowl on Thursday and worship work on Friday as a strict thing I do. Other than that, it's whatever. Yeah, same. Like I have my Thursday money bowl thing, and I mean, I tried. I mean, you saw that in my weekly vlog. I tried doing the daily tiny offering, but it just very quickly started not feeling good. So I stopped doing that. So now I'm again back to I give offerings whenever I feel like it. Although I'm actually thinking about doing like making it definitely a regular new moon thing because I feel like that makes sense. Like giving a little offering as a thanks for the past moon cycle and as an offering and a welcome, if that makes sense, for the new moon cycle. I don't know. I'm autistic. Energy balance is still something I'm learning. There seem to be quite a few of us in this community. Yeah, I also feel like there are a lot of neurodivergent people in the community, and I always wonder, like, is there a reason why? I'd love a tattoo tour. Oh, a tattoo tour. That would take ages. I probably have to do a whole separate live stream just for that because I haven't even counted them in ages. I have a lot. So a tattoo tour would be a little bit too much for today, I think. That's why I've taken to call my practice a hobby. I'm a hobby witch. It gives it a casual feel, so there is less pressure on daily practice when I don't have the energy. I mean, aren't we all like hobby witches? I mean, it's in the end, it's a lifestyle, and like I see it just as other things that you like to do. Like some people crochet every day, and some people crochet once a week, and some people crochet once a month. And I see it the same way with witchcraft. Like I'm not a full-time witch, and I there are very little people who are full-time witches. And of course, like if they make their money from being a witch, then of course they have to do it very regularly. But apart from that, if you don't have to live off of it, no pressure. Yeah, consistency is very challenging with ADHD. I think being nice to yourself and doing what feels right, or as you said, going with the flow is important and healthy. Yes, definitely. Don't put too much pressure on yourself because we have so much pressure on ourselves, like from outside all the time, that putting even more pressure on yourself, like at some point, you will just implode. Yeah, I've been learning to go with the flow and be more seasonal. It's at odds with society's pressure to be productive, so sometimes I find that challenging. Yeah, definitely. Like that's also a huge struggle for me. Um, and I mean, of course, like I make content on witchcraft and I make like products for the shop all the time and stuff, so I have to be like pretty consistent. Um, but yeah, especially the pressure from social media. Like you see people doing spellcraft all the time. So you kind of feel like you have to do it all the time too. But I mean, especially with casting spells, like if I don't have a reason to cast a spell, why would I? With like spirit work and stuff, that's different because, of course, that's like a relationship. So if I don't do it for half a year, then maybe not the best. But with like spell work, that's just for me. And I don't, if I don't have a reason to cast a spell, I just don't. And rocking back and forth can be very calming. Yes, definitely. It's so calming. You do it all the time, especially also at work. Like people get so annoyed because I'm usually sitting there like whipping back and forth with my chair. And like, yeah, I'm stimming all the time. I always have something in my hands, especially you probably see that also. Like I do this all the time, or like do something with my piercings, or like I always have to do something with my hands. I do my money ball on Friday to align with Venus. I've had much better results when I did money work on Thursdays. My partner always ended up with the money boost. What? That's so funny. But I mean, good thing you now know when to do money work for your partner. That's good. For me, for example, Thursdays really work well. I feel like it's probably a personal thing. Like especially like maybe if you do it for business, then maybe even a Wednesday is a good idea. So, but I feel like most people do it on Fridays or Thursdays. So I totally get why you would do a Friday. Will you make more vids on Scandinavian folk magic? Um, Once I am more proficient in it, yes. The thing is just that, like, I don't want to come off as like posing as a Scandinavian folk practitioner, which I wouldn't call myself yet because I'm just in the early stages. Um, so yeah, I'm since I have very little time on my hands, I take it very slowly. Um, and I definitely wouldn't feel comfortable going on the internet and being like, "Hi, I'm a Scandinavian folk magic practitioner, and this is how you do it." You know, if I haven't figured it out yet for myself. Thanks, Spencer and Violetta. Incredible, great idea. Agreed. I feel like I've seen a few neurospicy people who follow the witchy path. I feel like there are a lot. I love the Kräuterhaus in Hamburg. Oh, yes! Yeah, I've actually been there too. Yeah, I also like it a lot. What did I get there? I think I got like dandelion root and beetroot powder, I think. Do you work with animal remains at all, and what is their role in your craft? Bones, hides, fur, bird claws, etc. Given that they are obtained ethically or a way you're comfortable. I'm doing it much more nowadays than I did when I started. I actually really like working with animal remains. Like, for example, my runes are made from antlers, which they are literally the only runes I've ever really connected with, and I've tried a lot. I've tried making runes, wooden runes myself twice. I've made seashell runes myself, didn't connect to them. I had some made from various different crystals, just normal random stones that I found myself and made into runes myself. I have, oh, I feel like there's probably, apart from metal, probably no material that I haven't tried for runes, and the only ones I connected to were the antler runes. My ritual knife also has an antler handle. Um, I have, for example, a lynx skull that I work with. Um, that also like it came with the lynx spirit, so that was what I hoped for when I got it. Um, I have like various different antlers hanging on my walls, give them as offerings. Like for example, I find dead animals a lot whenever hell is trying to communicate something. That's literally the only times I find dead animals on the streets. Sadly, I can't like take them with me and bury them somewhere because that's illegal here in Germany to just bury an animal if you don't have like your own house. And even if you have your own house and your own property, then if it is a bigger animal, then it's still illegal. So I couldn't just bury my dog, for example. Um, so yeah. What else? What else? What else? I have recently, for example, made a an oil in which I actually did put a bone, an animal bone. Um, yeah, it's getting more and more, but I really, really love it. I always try to like, for example, use a rabbit hide for casting runes. But yeah, I always I always just get them from ethical sources. Like for example, from flea markets a lot. Like I wouldn't like get an antler from a hunter or something like that. That definitely I wouldn't feel comfortable with, and I also wouldn't feel comfortable with using, for example, bones that are from animals that were killed for food. Anything like that, I wouldn't do. So it's usually flea markets. um. Oh gods. Oh no, it jumped. How many piercings do you have? Wait. One, two, three, four, five, six. Do my earplugs count? Then it's eight. Otherwise, it's six. I only have the facial piercings. I had like nipple piercings, for example, but not anymore. They were incredibly annoying, and they just didn't want to heal, so I got rid of them. Although I really liked the way they looked, but well. A daily practice is not necessary. It needs to remain organic and flowing. Otherwise, there is no point. Yeah, agreed. Agreed. Do you know Freya Norling's channel? Yes, I do, but I don't watch it. OMG, I had the same with the money bowl. My partner got the money. I didn't know this was a thing. Now it's shared personal gnosis. But that's funny. I have never had that happen. Like neither me nor have I ever heard of it, but that's very funny. Mm. Oh, maybe a rocking chair would be a great purchase for a meditation tool. That's actually a very good idea. Neurospicy is such an acute term. I'll definitely adapt that and agree. We seem to be quite many. Yeah, I really like the term neurospicy. Mm, I would definitely try it on a Friday and see if it works more in your favor. I noticed a major difference. Yeah. Eh, and another person who likes the Kräuterhaus in Hamburg. Yay, Kräuterhaus! Mm. By the way, for anybody who doesn't know, it's basically an apothecary. You can buy a lot of herbs there. It's cool, and they're like very very cute elderly women working there. I love that. At least when I went there. I don't know if there are other people working there, but when I was there, there were two elderly women who were very very cute. Mm, will you show your runes collection? Well, I don't. I only have two sets nowadays because I gave my other rune sets to other people who connected to them. Um, but I could show you the runes that I have now, but they are the ones that I also show in my videos. So I don't know if that's so interesting. Mm, incredible. Anytime I visit, I end up going there and the practical magic shop. Yeah, I mean, we don't have that many shops, so yeah. I really like that at Practical Magic, they make everything themselves, like mostly, but they make a lot themselves. The only thing I don't like is that they sell white sage. And that is a thing that you will encounter in all of the friggin' shops in Germany. Like every single witchcraft or esoteric shop I went to, they had white sage. And I just, yeah. No, it's just time I open up my shop. But I have to wait until we move and then I can look for a shop. But it will happen. I promise it will happen. Mm, do you feel like your path is leading you to a specific community role? Some feel called to be teachers, writers, healers, etc. I currently feel called to be to a role of healing for my close community. Oh, that's such a good question. That is such a good question. I sometimes feel like I would make a good seer simply because I am incredibly intuitive and I'm just good with divination. I don't know. I don't even practice that often, but I don't know. It just seems to work. I don't, yeah, maybe that. I definitely would never call myself a teacher because I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. Um, I mean, I like giving people my knowledge and my info and like trying to help people with that, but I wouldn't necessarily call myself a teacher. Um, yeah, I guess. I actually have only tried healing magic once, so I definitely wouldn't call myself a healer. I feel like it's very interesting though, and this one spell I cast was very successful. Um, which was it was very interesting. It was a combination of puppet magic and Scandinavian folk magic spell, which was very interesting. Mm, guten Tag. Moin, as we say in Hamburg. Moin. If you use music to raise energy, what are you currently listening to do so? Whenever I meditate, it's like drumming videos. Um, apart from that, I usually listen to like Vadruna, Dunham, things like that, like more like folky Nordic things. I don't know what the genre would be called, but also like Omnia, Waldkauts, stuff like that. Like your typical Renaissance fair music, I guess. By the way, I will see Vadruna live in 2 weeks on a full moon, and I'm so excited. Ah. the happy hands. Um, OMG, I had the same issue with my nipple piercings. They just would not heal at all. Yeah, it was so annoying, and they would hurt all the fucking time. And I had them for like at least half a year, so they should have healed at that point, but they just didn't want to. But I guess some people just aren't like some piercings aren't meant for all the people. Do you? Oh my God, the chat keeps skipping. Do you have any experiences with Sif? What are your thoughts on her? I want to start working with her, and I'm curious what your thoughts and opinions on the matter. I have never worked with her, so I don't have any UPG that I could give you. The only thing I was currently thinking is, we have these. I don't know why, but we have like wild wheat. Is that what it's called? Wheat? Yeah. Growing around here. I don't know why, but it's just randomly growing in the streets. And it's slowly getting nice and yellow. So I was actually thinking about getting some of that and just giving it to her as a random offering. Was just a random thought that popped up in my head. And usually these thoughts stick in my head until I do them. So I guess I will do that. Afterwards, I could tell you more, but right now I have no personal experience with Sif. Hello, great videos always. Thank you. Can I ask you something? Yes, of course. A bookstore in Bonn. I'm a musician and following spiritual practices since 2 years. I couldn't find witchcraft, I guess witchcraft stores in Germany. I don't know about Bonn because I've never been to Bonn, so I have no clue. But yeah, in general, finding witchcraft stores in Germany is very hard. Usually, you will find like one or two in bigger cities, but that's about it. And usually they're more like esoteric metaphysical shops and not like witchcraft shops. Do you subscribe or practice any other forms of spiritual practice outside of Germanic mythology? I mean, I'm more in the Nordic part. I'm not in the wider, more Southern Germanic stuff. Um, but no, actually, like I mean, I would call myself like when it comes to my witchcraft, I am pretty modern. Um, so like I would not get rid of my candle spells, for example, even though it's like not a thing in any Nordic witchcraft practice, like older ones, modern ones probably, but um, it's like not historical to do like candle spells. Um, but no, like no other religions or traditions or anything. It's all very Nordic Scandinavian. Mm, same in Arizona, US. It's very annoying and unfortunate. White sage is everywhere. Yeah, that's just a common problem. Where do you get your things for your own shop, like online or apothecary? For my own shop, I get it online simply because online I can buy it wholesale and it's much cheaper. If I went to a random store here, I mean, I would get it as a normal customer, and then I would have to put my win margin on it, so it would be much too expensive. So I buy wholesale from a very nice small shop where I can get all organic herbs, which is very important to me. OMG, I would definitely visit your local shop. So cool. Oh, I hope so. I mean, we will see when it happens because I feel like it wouldn't make sense to open a shop now where I live now because we are planning on moving like in a year or so as soon as we find a house basically, and it could very well happen that we move to like central Germany, the Harz area, and so it wouldn't make sense to open up a shop to then just move the shop after a year. So I'm just waiting very impatiently, but it's something I really want to do because I feel like Germany needs a proper witchcraft shop. Not to say that there aren't any, because of course I don't know all the shops, but I haven't come across a one that was very convincing to me. White sage is everywhere in the UK too. It's a bit depressing. It is. Have you ever watched the TV show Vikings? It seems to be quite authentic because it was written by a historian. This show has been my only source of information about Norse paganism life, except books. I have watched the entire show, yes, because I actually really like it, although I would argue that it's not authentic at all. Um, it starts out okay, but it gets progressively worse, and I have no clue what they did with their seers. Why? And like the whole situation at the Uppsala temple. Why? Like, why do they have to do it so dramatically, and like all the face paints and tattoos and stuff? It's I would argue it's not authentic. They also like they it feels like they try to stay with the sagas, but then also they mix up a lot of stuff. So it's kind of strange. But I still like it. Like, I feel like there's nothing wrong with still liking it, or even though it's not very authentic. Uh, Vadruna, Heilung, and Eivor are amazing. Yes, I would probably sell a kidney to go to a Heilung concert. But for some reason, whenever they come to Germany, they just don't come to a city nearby. It was the same with Vadruna now. We have to drive from Hamburg to why did I want to roll the R with Bremen? We have to drive from Hamburg to Bremen to see Vadruna live, which I'm okay with. It's not that far. And I mean, I don't have to drive. I don't even have a driver's license. But yeah, for some reason they never play in my city. And I mean, it's a big city, so why don't they come here? And I just realized I haven't eaten a single one of my koalas. Um, my nipple piercing, 1 year old, is still not healed, but I'm too stubborn to take it out. I did the same one with my two nostrils. They both, I think they took like half a year at least to properly heal, but my nipple piercings were just too painful to keep in. So I haven't seen Vadruna live because it was too pricey and awful spots in the arena. Deeply regret that decision. Yeah, they are not cheap. I think we paid $80 now, like for one ticket. But I think the space we're sitting in is good, and I just hope the weather will be good because it's an open air thing. So I just hope it won't rain. Um, I love Vadruna 2. It was actually also in the soundtrack for Vikings. Yes, yes. We're actually currently rewatching Vikings from the start, and like, all the music. Like, that's something you have to admit. Even if you don't like Vikings, the music is amazing. Like, I think Skuke, for example, is definitely in there. I think I don't want to spoiler anyone, but it's in a very sad situation. And ever since, I have just loved this song. I think it's my all-time favorite. Has Norse paganism impacted or enlightened your ancestor workings at all? You may not even do ancestor work, just curious. I do a little bit, like I not that much. It's more of a veneration thing and a connection thing, and I don't usually ask them for anything. I think I asked them for assistance in a spell once. That's about it. Um, but yeah, I actually started with ancestor veneration because I got into working with hell. And of course, I only got into working with hell because I'm Norse pagan now. So yeah, hell brought me to my ancestor veneration practice. And that has opened up so many doors for me. Like, I feel like ancestor veneration and trying to reconnect has like boosted my practice, because I feel like previously I was like just trying to do what everyone else did, and now I'm kind of just trying to do what my ancestors would have done, most probably. And that also means just connecting to the land around me, because my like, yeah, more immediate family was very local to Flensburg and northern Germany. So I'm still living where a lot of my ancestors lived. So that's quite cool. Mm-mm. Nessuno Heilung is coming in October, and I don't think my wife would be into going. She isn't into Heilung or Vadruna as I am. Go alone. I know that can be quite tricky, but I mean, it's better going alone than not going at all, right? Uh, mm, 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 mm. OMG, finally another adult without a driver's license. I'm 24 and people are so annoying to me. Mm, mm. I'm nearly 29 and I don't have a driver's license simply because I don't need one. And when I was like 16, I could have started, but I couldn't afford it. And my family isn't rich enough to just gift me a driver's license. Um, so it wouldn't even have made sense because even if I had a driver's license at like 16, 18, where usually people make their driver's license at like 16, 17, 18, but I couldn't have even afforded a car. So why should I learn how to drive when then afterwards I don't drive for like at least 5 or 10 years? So, and in Germany, you don't need it. Like if you live in a city, um, you don't need a driver's license. There are like, public transport is amazing in Germany. I know I rant Germany a lot, because I just don't like how crowded it is and how little wild nature we have. But when it comes to public transportation, the trains aren't on time, but they exist. So that's good. So I just don't need a driver's license. I can go everywhere I want without a car. Uh, the Netherlands also needs a proper witchcraft shop and not just one in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I got my nostril pierced like 3 months ago, and it's not healing at all. Keeping getting piercing bumps, hoping if I just keep it in, it'll eventually chill out. I had the same problem. Is the exact same problem. I also got bumps and everything, but at some point it went away and it was fine. And ever since then, I've just not touched them. Einar Selvik is a very interesting dude. He also did music for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Yeah, his music is just amazing. He's so talented. Is there any intuition, mediumship, psychic practices you're working on? For me, I'm working on my mediumship, but setbacks get frustrating. Um, I don't think I'm necessarily really working on something. Um, I feel like the only thing I'm really practicing is just intuitively connecting and sorry, and communicating with spirits and deities and whoever. Because um, the more I do it, the more I figure out that that's for me just the easiest way to connect and to communicate. Which is pretty tricky though, because of course you always have this nagging thought in your head of like, am I just making this up in my head? So yeah, that is probably what I'm working on most. Just chatting with spirits. Mm. I would love to hear about your experiences with the offering to her, Sif. I thought about making an altar in a plant pot with a plant. That could be cute. Yeah, that could be very cute. I always feel like a potted plant is a great offering. My ancestors got a an orchid because my grandma loved orchids. She had so many orchids. So I thought an orchid would be a great offering, even though I myself hate orchids. And I have killed two already, but I am keeping at it. At some point, I will keep it alive. With meditation and your spiritual practice, is it a concept in Nordic spirituality to attain enlightenment? I feel like no. I always feel like everything Nordic related is very practical and down to earth. And it's even if you're communicating with deities or spirits, it's more of a the spirit is annoying me because they want something, so I will communicate with them to try to give them what they want or to try to figure out how we can move on from the situation because it's annoying for both parties. But I don't feel like enlightenment plays any role in it. Have you read Consorting with Spirits from Jason Miller? If yes, what are your thoughts on it? I have not read it yet. I have it in my bookshelf. It's in my to read pile. I have heard both good and negative things about it. So the only thing I know is that apparently it is very ceremonial. So we will see. I am really not a ceremonial magician, so we will see. But I definitely plan on reading it. I loved Vikings too, but now I'm a bit bummed that it's not so authentic after all. They probably had to be extra for the views. Yeah, I guess that's exactly it. Like usually people watch for the entertainment and they don't watch for the historical authenticity. So that's probably why they kind of diverged more and more from the authenticity because the first season is okay. Like there are some questionable hairstyles, but apart from that, like no one has like heavy tattoos. Like apart from the seer, let's just keep the seer outside of the discussion because I don't know what they did with that. But yeah, I still like it though. It is entertaining. You have to admit it. Even if you even if you don't like it because it's inauthentic, it's still entertaining. And I'm a rare species. I actually really like Eva the Boneless. Everyone hates him. I love him. Hi, I'm so excited to catch the live stream. Love your content. Hello, glad you could make it. No driver's license either. Here it's so expensive. Yeah, here too. Even like 20 years, 10 years ago when I could have made one, when I could have gotten one, it would have been, I think, roughly 2,000 euros. And I think now it's like probably double. I don't know. And then you have to get a car and the insurance for the car and gas. And then it gets incredibly expensive. And if you think about the fact that in Germany, we have a like Germany ticket now. And I think I think the normal price, I think, is like roughly 50 bucks. And I pay because I get a little bit cheaper via work. I think I pay like 35 euros. And with these 35 euros, I can go everywhere by public transport as long as it's like one of the slower regional trains. But that's totally fine because all of the trains in northern Germany are only regional trains. So I can go everywhere I want, visit my parents, visit my sister and my niece, and go all about town for like 35 bucks a month. And with a car, that would be no. And you don't even find a parking spot here anywhere either way. So why get a car? I didn't get my driver's license until I was 30, and that's totally fine. I got my driver's license at 18. I'm now 20 and I haven't driven since I got it. Yeah, that's the thing. To be honest, I get anxiety thinking about driving again. I live in a city and I don't need have a car at the moment. I am already an anxious like person just sitting in a car with someone else driving, so driving myself will be a struggle and I know for a fact when like as soon as we have moved somewhere I will probably need a car. But I don't want to drive. It gives me anxiety, like a lot of anxiety. I had a question. I feel like my bond with the gods has shifted, which I know is part of contacting them, but should I focus on all the gods rather than one central god within the pantheon? Depends on what you want to do. Like I don't feel like there is a right or wrong because uh we definitely know like historically it was already a thing to kind of be dedicated to one specific um deity, while like I think it was probably usually um more normal to give offerings to all the gods, I think, I guess. um but it's historically accurate to have a more closer connection to one of the gods or goddesses. So I feel like there is no right or wrong. Like do however you please. I know people that actually exclusively work with only one deity, and that's also totally fine. Um, yes, I've gotten one before and it worked, but then it came back like a week and a half later. Very strange. Ah, the piercing bump. Okay. This has been awesome, but I have to get back to work. Thank you for your awesome and informative videos. All right, bye bye. Have a wonderful work day. It's not as important to be enlightened as it was to be fed and warm when a lot of Norse spirituality was laid down. Yeah, people had different things to be concerned with. Jason Miller is very ceremonial magic, high magic, but there's lots of good adaptable exercises and rituals you can adapt. That's very good to know. I love how accessible Jason Miller makes ceremonial magic. It's not my thing either, but he makes it sound easy. Hmm. I don't think I oh I think I read one book by Jason Miller, the protection and reversal magic one, and I feel like that wasn't too ceremonial. So I'm curious to see what other ceremonial stuff he writes about. Hmm. Also, because he uses historic texts and references, there are a lot of saints and Christian influences. I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, Scandinavian folk magic also has a lot of Christian elements. So, uh, wow, I'm not sure how euros relate to US dollars, but I only had to pay like 18 to 20 bucks. But I do live in the what? In I don't know where, somewhere in Texas. But that sounds extremely expensive. Yeah, the thing is, isn't it like you don't really take like driving classes or like a lot of driving classes in the US to get your driver's license? In Germany, you have to like take like theoretical tests. You have to take practical tests. You have to take like a specific amount of driving lessons, and if you're especially bad, you have to take more driver's lessons, and those are of course extremely expensive. So the longer it takes for you to kind of get into driving and to know how it works, um, the more expensive it gets. And it's just not normal here to kind of learn how to drive with your parents, for example. You take proper driving lessons with a teacher, and that is very expensive. Ah, middle of nowhere. Okay, okay, thank you. In the middle of nowhere in Texas, that was it. Yeah, about the book, I'm not into Christianity and Luciferianism, so a lot of the rituals for me aren't useful. But the Hecate stuff and general spirit work, I love. Yeah, that will probably be the same for me. Although it's interesting that there is Luciferian stuff in it, because then I can give it to my coven mate to read because he's a Luciferian. In the process of reading that book by Jason Miller, and I like it so far, just started those, so we will see. But I'm sure that I'm probably apply the knowledge from it. Yeah, in a more casual, accessible way. I love how I just incorporated a random German word, um, in a more casual, accessible way. I felt drawn to working with Frigg, as I have been learning and reading about Norse paganism. Do you ever work with one of Frigg's specific handmaidens? Would you call on them specifically? Um, I have not yet. Although, wait, isn't Eir one of Frigg's handmaidens? I don't recall all of their names, but I haven't yet. No, but I would. I mean, I feel like with like especially with different kinds of like roles in Norse paganism, they are so strange. Like you have like gods that are also Jotuns, and then you have gods who are also Valkyries. You have Norns who are also Valkyries, and yeah, I feel like that's very interesting. But I've never worked with either Frigg, neither Frigg nor her handmaidens. I have used Miller's work on Hecate as she is my goddess, but the rest of the deities I follow are Norse. I feel like that's something quite a lot of people do who like have like one specific deity, but then all of the others come from a completely different pantheon. And I feel that's kind of cool. Who's your favorite deity? I don't feel like I have a favorite. I feel like it would be kind of rude to name a favorite, but I feel like the two that I'm feel most connected with will probably always be Odin and Freya, which I know is so boring. Jason Miller's book Elements of Spellcraft should be on every beginner's list of books to read, is pure gold. I actually also haven't read that one. I probably should. Driving in the US, you can take classes optionally with a driver's long instructor, but most of the time you do an easy test at 15 and then drive in a car with DMV person to get your license at 16. To be honest, that sounds a little bit unsafe. I'm actually very, very happy that it's that strict in Germany, especially because we have so many roads like our Autobahn where there is no restriction as to how fast you are going. So, yeah. And you can also only start driving at 17, I think, only if someone over 18 with a driver's license is driving with you. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember if it's 16 or 17, but I think it was 17. Do you have any recommendations on finding covens in Germany? I really struggle with finding them. I would check Meetup, maybe. Like at least this is where I found my coven. Um, yeah, yeah, maybe that. Oh yeah, you don't have to really take any driving lessons in the States unless you want to. When I got my license when I was 16, you just had to get a C to get it. I don't know how many points you have to achieve in Germany, but I feel like it's very strict. Wait, let me check. Um, ah, okay. Apparently, you can answer 10 questions wrong, or like 10, you can miss 10 points, but at 11 points, you fail. But I don't know how many questions there are. I think there are a lot of questions. Um, oh, yeah. Ah, okay. Apparently, it's depending on the driver's license you do because there are different ones, like smaller ones for like smaller vehicles, and if you want to drive a truck, for example, you need like a bigger one. And then it's 20 to 40 questions, and you can fail on 6 to 10 questions. That seems quite a lot, actually. That seems like a lot. Mm, it's the same in Canada. You don't have to take driver's lessons to get your learner's permit, but if you do, you don't have to wait as long to test for your full license. Hmm. Yeah, the drivers in the US are the reason I'm terrified to drive. I don't have I don't have a license either. Yeah, I understand. Although German people are sometimes crazy on the roads, especially uh in wait, bigger cities, thank you. I was distracted because someone just did a like super chat thingy, which thank you so much. Like that's crazy. That's like the first time that has ever happened, and I'm a little bit confused now because I don't know what that means. So thank you so so much to Violetta. Um, and it's a little cat. Um, wait, where was I? Ah, here. In the Netherlands, you can start at 16 and a half years old. Why the half? And you can only drive after getting the license with someone above 18 that had a license for 5+ years. That sounds quite accurate to Germany, actually. Lol, I can tell you, especially in Texas, these people are absolutely insane out here on the roads. Specifically, people who drive big ass jacked up trucks. Yeah, I mean the things you can drive in the U.S. That's crazy. In Germany, we have this thing called TÜV, which they basically check your car regularly and see whether you are allowed to drive it, because there are a lot of regulations. Like if you want to tune your car, there is a lot of stuff you're not allowed to do. Mm. Roughly 75% is passing. Yeah, that's apparently what it's like in Germany. Do you know of a good bookstore around Bonn or Amsterdam? Sadly, no, because I've never been to Bonn and never been to Amsterdam. But I really want to go to Amsterdam, but I have never been. Um, Annie Coven also, yeah, also no clue. Because they are both very far away from where I live. I saw on Instagram that you listen to Bad Omens. What's your favorite song from them? Oh, that's a good question because I've been listening to them for a long time. Like, I know a lot of people have only recently discovered them because of TikTok, but I have listened to them for a long time. And I guess, I mean, from the newer album, I think The Death of Peace of Mind because it's very sexy. Um, Wait, with the older ones. Ooh, E. They're also good. I really like The Worst in Me. Glass Houses is also very good. I guess those. But yeah, I like harder types of music. I really like metalcore. Metalcore was the only music I listened to for a long, long time. Driving in the States is a lot like driving in GTA 5, deeply terrifying. Oh gods, no. That sounds very terrifying. Hi, you're live. Wow. Yes, I'm live. Hello. I will probably do it more regularly now. I feel like it's very fun. I like chilling out with people. And the more I sit like this, the more I realize that I need to get my inner upper arms tattooed because they are very naked. Metalcore. Yes. Metalcore. Love it. Oh, thanks for answering. What, you master of nerds? Nords? Salute from a musician here too. I have a deep respect for musicians. I can sing, but that's about it. Because I sadly never played an instrument because we didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, so it was always like I could either do some kind of sport, which in Germany you don't do like at school. You usually go to like a separate sports club, and then of course you have to pay. So it was always like you can either learn an instrument or play sports, and I wanted to play hockey, so no instrument for me. I love Death of Peace of Mind. Yes, it works really well for sex magic ambience. Yes, definitely. Something I've actually, like, while we were talking about metalcore, something I have done recently, which was very fun. I wanted to cast I called it a blockbuster spell, like um, wait, what is it called? Uh, 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 Something with road. I have forgotten the English word, but I wanted to basically get all of the obstacles out of my way. And I found, like, I'm also a fan of I Prevail, and the song Rise Above It is amazing because it's literally like I will get whatever the fuck I want, I will do whatever the fuck I want, and that song for this type of spell was impeccable. It was incredible. I listened to it like on repeat for like 20, 30 minutes already before I cast the spell, and I was like so in the mood, and I was like, yeah, I will get it. It was perfect. Perfect. Like music, I feel like you have to kind of get all of your senses involved when doing magic, any type of magic. So I always try to kind of find a good incense blend, for example, or make a good incense blend and like find a good fitting type of music. I love it. Any tips on working with poisonous plants? Don't eat them. I don't work with poisonous plants that much, to be honest. Although I really, really like foxglove. I've always really felt drawn to foxglove, but I haven't really worked with it yet. So sadly, no tips from me. My mother is Italian, and I've never been so scared than been on the roads. Ah, yeah. I think the most scared I was when I was in Istanbul, and we were in this small type of, it was a big car, but it was kind of like a hop on, hop off taxi thing. And they didn't have like shit, was it, what is it called? Um, yeah, seatbelt. They didn't have seatbelts and they drove so fucking fast. I was scared for my life. I'm very into punk music and the scene is my favorite for sure. I don't feel like I have ever really listened to like typical classical punk. I was more of a pop punk kid. I was a typical emo. Road opening. Yes, road opening. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. English is a hard language. uh, I live in Amsterdam. If you ever come to visit, I'd be more than happy to show you around. Oh, that's a very nice offer. Thank you so much. And I've actually caught up with the chat after roughly 2 hours. I am very happy. But I guess I will also stop the live now slowly because I still have my new moon stuff to do. But it was incredibly enjoyable. Is that a word? I don't know. It was a lot of fun to hang out with you. And to close this off, I will show you a cat. Scotty, hello. Can you look at the camera? Hello. Yes. Yeah. Scotty will say bye bye from me. I hope wherever you are, you have either a good evening, a good night, or a good rest of your day. Bye bye. See you next time. I will definitely do it more often now. Bye.